Actually, I think the many governments in the Middle East and North Africa have done quite well, actually, in terms of managing the crisis. And in fact, balancing the public health concerns with economic stimulus and economic aspects. And this is a difficult balance. It requires, bringing on board several different parts of the governments and institutions to work together and coordinate. And especially early in the crisis, I think many of them did a very good job of that. I think the lessons learned from that experience, they can easily take forward, and it can help governments have learned from this, I think, in terms of what needs to be done to coordinate policy. Many of the policies in the region, everything from youth employment to economic development to gender issues, are really cross-cutting across different sectors and different ministries. And a large part of the government's efforts in the region is coordination across these entities to ensure good development outcomes. And I think the crisis has essentially taught them the importance of that and helped them think through mechanisms for making that happen. Inequalities in the region have existed for some time. By some indications, they've gotten worse. But the crisis essentially elevated them so that they became more visible, and it was very clear that there were, let's say, deficits and differences and inequalities in education, educational institutions, and labor market opportunities, and access to incomes and livelihoods, and across different groups and across different parts of the countries, in peripheral areas versus in the centers. These issues came to the fore for many of these countries. So the crisis helped shine a light on some of these issues more brightly than in the past. I think also governments in the region, speaking very broadly, of course, have taken notice of this, and many of the governments, like those in Egypt and Jordan and Morocco, especially have brought on board policies that will be more systematically address some of these differences, both in peripheral areas and among more vulnerable groups and marginalized groups. Hopefully, and it's an aspirational element here, we'll see that governments, or some governments, will be able to take those lessons forward, and you see that within their new development planning and new policies and strategies. The thing is that the pandemic affected all the countries. I mean, to different extents and different points in time and in different ways, but they were all affected. And they realized that they do have to deal with these challenges and learn from each other. The pandemic maybe not necessarily collectively as much, but even then, cross-border trade, travel, and some coordination. But many of the challenges that are facing the region, for example, climate change and water scarcity, they're essentially regional problems, and they require, or sub-regional, and they require regional coordination, collaboration, and solutions. And I think this was one challenge, one crisis that again elevated these issues and made it clear to policymakers the importance of that kind of collaboration and cooperation. Hopefully, again, being aspirational, you'll start seeing more integration across these and more collaboration across issues like climate change, like technological change, and the fourth industrial revolution, and the importance of putting together more sub-regional groups of countries that can share and improve and share resources and improve their competitiveness globally, and better integrate technology. The importance of integrating, bringing in regional integration to global supply chains, and accessing them collectively. So these are all aspects, I think, that the countries realize are important. And time will tell, but we're hopeful that they will start seeing more and more of those elements into their policies and strategies going forward.